I have a guest today. Chris Anthony will not be here today, and I'm not sure if Angie will or not, but here we have Erin. So there was a
Hi,
reason.
everybody.
There was a reason I asked Erin on. All right, there's actually a couple of reasons why I asked her on, because she has a groomer's box, and the reason a creative box, and the reason I had asked her on because you know what, our careers can be there's like an end date, there's an expiration date for most of us, and how do you continue to make income in an industry you love, all right, without actually grooming? So I thought, I mean, there are some people that have boxes out there, but you know what? I actually personally know Erin. So here you are, Erin. So tell us kind of what made you make the decision to do like a groomer's, to do like a monthly box.
So, one of the reasons I wanted to do that was because I really was a lot of boxes for scissors and for bows, but there wasn't a box for creative groomers and creative grooming supplies. And so I wanted to provide that to the groomers and fill a niche within our industry that was lacking. And I'm not a bow supplier. I don't do that stuff. I do put bows in there. I do make some of the bows, and I do purchase some from different vendors and put them in there, and I put accessories in there as well. But I wanted to have something that could cater to the creative groomer, whether they be a new creative groomer or a seasoned creative groomer. And I wanted to be give them a monthly dye subscription, basically get their dyes refilled, and they didn't have to worry about constantly ordering or waiting till they're out. They knew every month they're going to get a box of 2 different dyes, and the colors vary depending on the holiday and depending on basically what theme I do for the boxes. The colors vary depending on that, but I wanted to provide the creative groomers a way to build up their stash or to replenish their stash. I'm trying not to sneeze, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Yeah, the past
That's
week and a
why
half.
I wanted to do that, but also because it's horrible right now. Like, the weather got warmer and allergies have just been horrible. Like, oh my God, I wake up every morning sneezing and having an allergy attack. I'm like, great, California. So basically, yeah, I wanted to, 1, to do that, and 2, I needed to do something to start to be able to pull away from the grooming table and step back a little bit. I'm trying to avoid shoulder injury, and little things are starting to hurt, and I want to be able to prolong my career and not burn myself out and not overwork myself. And, that's one of the things that I needed to do. And I thought, what, if I do this and I can build my brand, by the time I'm ready to step back a drastic amount, I will have it in place already. And it will start to be able to compensate for the income that I'm going to now lose by stepping back from the grooming table.
Okay.
So it's like my plan B.
Okay, no, that's good. We all need to have a plan B. So what kind of goes into, like, what decisions do you that go into a box that, what, as somebody who is receiving the box may not even realize goes into it?
There's a lot of planning. So I have to source the items that I'm getting. I need to determine ahead of time what I'm putting in the box. And I usually plan that out 6 months in advance. And I also have to take into consideration, because of the effects of COVID, and now that we're seeing the domino effects of things being put on hold and things being delayed, I have to plan around that, because there's sometimes where things don't get in time, or they're not going to make it here in time, or they take longer than this time that they said they were going to come in. So I have to plan that ahead. I have to make sure that I'm doing things different to switch it up, so it's not such a repetitive box with the same accessories and things like that, or the same vendors. I'm making accessories. I need to plan ahead what I'm making and make sure that I have enough of that product to go into all the boxes that I'm expecting, to sell, or that I'm going to the subscriptions that are already signed up. I need to make sure that I stay under budget. So I have a certain budget I have to be under in order to make a profit off of the boxes. So I have to sign up as a distributor for different, for the dies and different items to make sure that I'm getting a good price. But that also means I have to buy in large quantities. I have to put a large order in to them in order to do that. So you have to have capital, and you have to have that the means to be able to do that and tie your money up for a few months until you sell those boxes to make that back. So obviously, like any business, when you start out, there's a loss, but you're spending, you're spending a lot of time when you do these things. When you do subscription boxes like this, I spend a ton of time online searching, sourcing, testing, ordering products and testing it to see if I like it, to see if it's a good quality. There's some where I will like the quality, but the price is not so great. And then I've got to try and find the same thing for a better price. I have to buy more and buy in bulk and do that in order to get a good price. So that way I'm not breaking even every month and I'm actually making a profit.
Okay. And how do you contact suppliers? What goes into that?
I usually send an email or a message and I just reach out. I might have to do it a couple times because my email may end up in spam. Some suppliers are great at getting back to you. Some suppliers are not. One of them took a year and they had read the email and never got back to me. And I saw them at a show and asked them about it again. And so we were emailing in contact, and then it's been about 3 weeks. I haven't heard from them. So I'm like, okay, I need to get back to them again. And so I need to get back to them and, say, hey, you guys, I'm here waiting. I answered you. And, that's one of those things that you have to be persistent. You have to be, on it, and you can't just let it slide because that time will pass. And then if you're trying to get a hold of someone to put stuff in that next month's box, you miss that deadline, and you have to make sure you're hitting that deadline. You have to make sure that you're hitting that deadline and that you're not messing up your schedule, because then if you are, you've got to now scramble and put something else into the box. And so a lot of times I'll call people, leave a message. A lot of times I will contact them over Facebook if they're a smaller vendor. If they're a larger vendor, I will email them usually and find out who I can contact. Sometimes if it's someone overseas and I'm trying to do a bigger order, then I'll have to contact them, and they are sometimes better at getting back to you immediately than the smaller vendors, because they want your business. They really want your business. They have more, not that the smaller vendors don't want your business. That's not the right way to say it. They have more staff for the bigger businesses, for the businesses overseas, where a smaller vendor may be just them and maybe one other person, or it may just be them. And so they have a much smaller scale. They're spread thinner, and it may be a while before they can get back to you, because if they're a small business owner, they are probably super busy and they're probably, at their max, but yet they can't quite yet hire someone. Okay. So it's, searching out people online, and trying to find where to locate the best vendors. And so you'll spend sometimes hours just looking at one item. So for my boxes themselves, when I got those done, it was hours of looking at different box vendors, the sizes, how much it would cost, if they could do my logo on it to make sure the logo wasn't smeared or blurry. But it was hours. The amount of time I put into the box, not assembling it, but planning it is hours, is a long time. I will be on my computer, on my phone, just looking and scrolling and reading and looking at dimensions, because I have made the mistake of doing this late at night and messing up on an order and getting the wrong dimensions. And I get a stencil in, and then the stencil is like this big. And I'm like, hey, I have to send that back if I can, and if I can't send it back, I have to figure out what to do with these stencils now that are 8x10 instead of 5x5. And, that's something that happens.
All right. Once you have all the supplies put together. How long does it actually take you to put the box together? Packaging.
I usually do it like an assembly. Yeah, I usually do it like an assembly. So I will, however many boxes I need for that month. So, I determine that based on the subscriptions that people have already signed up for and that are automatic, and then the open subscription, which is anybody who wants to just buy a box per month, and doesn't sign up yet for the commitment. So I have the two options right now, and I will do an assembly. And so I have a kennel in my dining room in the corner of my dining room, and I lay the boxes out, and I will assemble them and stack them on that kennel. Or I will also, if I need to, stack them on my table. So sometimes my son and I will eat at 2 chairs and the rest of the table is covered in boxes, and that's just what I have to do right now because I don't have an attached garage. So I'm not walking all the way out to my garage to do this and have to walk back and forth. And so I just assemble it there, and then I will then go and I'll put the tissue paper in and I'll do each box. So it's an assembly line. So I can usually get them done 1 to 2 nights, depending on how many boxes I have. So if we're talking hours, it's probably about maybe 3 to 4 hours if I have no interruptions.
Okay.
And we know how that goes if you have animals and you have kids and
Yeah.
you have a business that you run. So,
Yeah, we know all about
relatively
interruptions.
speaking, probably if I don't get distracted and I stay focused.
Okay, cool. So I guess the next thing I wanted to ask you was, so in continuing with the whole plan B, you are also now teaching, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I started doing, I did my first online webinar in summer of 20 when we had, the beginning of COVID, and we did the online seminar for the CPPGA. I did my first webinar then, and slowly picked them up from there. Did a few last year for you, did a few online here and there, and then started doing one on my own. I think the first one I did was the fall leaves, the workshop. So that was my first in-person workshop that I did. And then I did a holiday one on my own, separate from a summit or anything like that. And then I made the goal to do 8 for this year because I want to build up a library for that. So I have creative grooming videos available for creative groomers to have somewhere to go to learn these things that you're constantly seeing them ask about online, because it is not as easy to get creative grooming classes at trade shows as it is a poodle class or a terrier or a drop coat or any of the other breed standard type classes. There are creative grooming classes at conventions, but not as many as there are regular grooming classes. And so I wanted to provide more and to be able to fill a niche where everybody can have access to it, and where any groomer, no matter where they're at, can at their leisure watch it, or they don't have to say, gosh, there's no conventions by me, there's no trade shows, I can never get to one of these classes, and they can't afford to fly out to one of the classes. So I wanted to start doing that and to fill a niche also in the industry that can provide a library of classes for creative groomers to help them learn without learning by mistake. And so all these questions that they're putting up there, they will have a place where they can go and watch a webinar and see how it's done before they attempt it and make a mistake. If they don't want to do that and they want to see how it's done, and they're in Iowa and they're just like, we're not anywhere near a trade show, or they're in Montana and they're just like, there aren't any trade shows, or if they're in Canada and there aren't enough trade shows up there for them to see the creative grooming. And this way it's also open to anyone in the world that can watch it. They don't have to worry about, I have to be up at 2 a.m. to watch this show, to watch this webinar. And so I wanted to start doing that and branch out and start, putting myself out there to be able to instruct these groomers and do that. And I'm doing my very first seminar at a trade show in Teton, Idaho in July. So I'm super excited about that. I've got two seminars that I'll be doing there, 2 demos, and I'm really excited about that. That'll be my first trade show seminar, and I'm really excited to see it building and to see to finally be able to expand and to do more things like that, and to be able to do hands-on and actually do a full seminar.
All right. So percentage-wise, let's say in like about 5 years, where would you like your percentages to be as far as the creative box? You can't hear me again? All right, hold on. Erin just lost all sound. Unplug, plug in. Hold on. Technical issues. Hold on. Unplug. Oh, there we go. We lost her. You back? Say something.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I can hear you. That was really weird. I don't know why it did that. It just totally cut
Well,
you out. So
the best technological advice I could give anybody when you're having a problem is unplug it and plug it back in.
got it. There's not feedback, but it's scratchy when you talk. So it's a little bit scratchy, but I did miss what you said earlier.
Okay, so thinking like in 5 years from now,
Mhm.
all right? Where do you see your percentages as far as your income coming in from like the groomer's box, the teaching, and then grooming? Where would you like those percentages to be in like 5 years?
In 5 years, I'd like the box and the classes, the seminars and webinars. I'd like that to be about 75% of my income.
Okay.
I'd like to be able to step away from the table, and what my ultimate goal is I'd like to step away from regular grooming and do creative grooming. So I want to have enough clientele where I'm doing mostly color on the dogs that come in. So a groom, but also color. And so that's where I want to be in 5 years, where I'm just maybe at my table 2 days a week.
Okay.
And I can step away enough and have that supplement my income, where I can have another groomer at my table and, probably at Wenchi's table. So we work 2 days a week and we've got someone else at our tables.
Okay, cool. I mean, I think that's a fair proposition. All right,
Yeah,
and the crackling is coming from your end.
It is. Okay, hang on. I think it's my cord.
It's probably the cord. If the cords move around, they can cause crackling.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
All right, so
I'm
so
unplugged, but for some reason I'm crackling still.
That's okay. So let's move on. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is that you and I, we did Summit last year, and it went over really well. So we're doing the Creative Summit again for April.
Yes.
And along with the contest. All right. So what I want you to talk about is the contest.
Okay.
So you don't see a whole lot of creative grooming contests.
No. So a lot of the conventions have them. They'll have the creative grooming contest for extreme creative. Mm-hmm. And some of the conventions have abstract, which is also I would say a branch of creative grooming. And they, not a lot of them do abstract though. And abstract is really popular. People love it. But you also don't have, you have freestyle, which allows some color. And that's also a form of creative grooming. But you don't see creative grooming contests for salon creative, meaning ears, tails, meaning no extreme theme to it, but just color. So maybe some animal print, just leopard print or zebra print, or maybe just rainbow on the dog, or tie dye, or maybe they do a little heart. So something that's mild, and I call that salon creative. So it's not extreme creative. It's not really freestyle. It's more of a salon creative, and you don't see a lot of that. So a lot of people don't want to do extreme creative. They want to be able to do something mild, or maybe they don't have the coat carving skills to be able to do extreme creative, but they can do color. They can do different color options. They can color a leg in 3 colors, or they can do stuff like that. They just don't have the coat carving or the scissoring skills. So I want to start to provide more contests for that type of grooming as well, and for the model dog grooming. So for the model dog creative grooming, and I want to offer something different that you don't normally see at the conventions. So we the contest was really popular last year. They did a great job. We had a lot of model dog head entries and a lot of live dog entries. And so this year we're doing the same contest, but we're not going to allow the extreme creative on the live dogs, because we had a couple entries and it just wasn't a level, fair playing field for the people that did salon creative. There's no way you can compare the two, because that person that's doing the extreme creative is going to beat out the other design any day of the week. It's just so much work and effort put into it. So I decided to not do the extreme creative and do salon creative. So anybody, can enter it and feel like they have a chance, and, not have to worry about, well, there's no way we can't give first place to the, the extreme creative, because it just outdoes the other ones. So, I figured, okay, let's do just salon creative. And, that way people can enter without having to worry about being on stage, because a lot of people don't enter these because of that fear of being on stage. They just can't do it. They just can't get up on stage. And this allows them to participate and enter without that stress on them of being in front of the crowd and being on stage. And then the other test we're doing is the model dog head. So model dogs are catching on. They're slower to catch on, but they are catching on in popularity. They're extremely popular in Asian countries like Taiwan and Japan and China. They do a lot of model dog grooming over there, and they do some of the nicest designs. There's also a groomer, Olga, and I don't know her last name, and I believe she is Russia or Ukraine. I may be wrong on that, but she is in Eastern Europe, and she does beautiful model dogs, beautiful creative model dogs, and she teaches classes, and her students' work is amazing. It's phenomenal. It's this for students, they could be teachers. It is amazing work that they do, and it's nice to see more work like that. It's nice to see stuff on the model dogs, because the sky is the limit. You have so many different options, model dog grooming, and then you can also take that from the model dog onto a real dog. But it's great practice. It's a lot of fun. There's so many different options you can do with it, and so I want to build that up and get more exposure for the model dogs and the grooming and the contests, because I am also on the IJA model dog travel team for 2022. So I did the online competition this year, and I attended the expo in Pennsylvania, because my goal was to make that team. I wanted to be able to travel and do model dogs. I really, really love working on them, and it's a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy working on them. It's a lot of fun, and it's easier for me than doing live dog grooming, because I do not have to worry about the maintenance and renting a dog, or having to go out and purchase, more dogs to be able to do that. It's just not something that's feasible for me, and I can't do that. So the model dogs were another option where I could still compete and still practice my skills and do something fun that I love. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And we are trying to get more people into model dog grooming, get more awareness of it,
get more people to realize there's contests online. There's model dog contests at trade shows. So Super Zoo will have a model dog contest. The Maryland grooming convention, I'm not sure the name of it, they had an in-person one. They had model dogs in person. IJA in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, that just got back from, they had in-person model dog grooming. And there's a couple more IJA, I think there's 2 or 3 more shows coming up this year that will have model dog grooming there as well.
Okay. All right. So anybody who's listening is interested in doing the creative grooming contest, the information is up on my website. So positiveed.com. It's right up in the menu bar. You can click on and get some information if you are interested. So we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank you, Erin, for taking time to be here.
It was a pleasure.
There will be no live stream next week as we are all coming back from the Tacoma show. Well, 2 of us are.
Yeah.
So yeah, there'll be no live stream next Tuesday. All right.